Here's my view.
Caution braking through dip, turn square right, narrows, 80. Caution right, 6 continues over
That's
crest.
why I love Dirt Rally. Little moments like
Braking
that.
through bump.
Hey guys, it's Sukasa. Welcome to Dirt Rally, which last week exited early access and is now version 1.0. I was meaning on doing episodes of this game during the latter part of its early access. I played for like 10-15 hours, got a good feel for the game, and right when I was ready to start doing episodes, about a month and a half ago, my old Driving Force GT wheel finally gave out on me. It was a long time coming. I had the thing 5-6 years, put like 1,000 hours into it, but it finally gave out. And that's why there were no episodes last month. I couldn't just rush out and get a new wheel. I wanted to get a newer Model 1 with the newest tech in it, because I'm going to have it for a long time, put a lot of use into it. But they're a little bit pricey still, so I had to wait for a holiday sale, and I got pretty lucky. Almost half off on this G29. It's the newest model Logitech makes. I think it came out this summer. You know, it came in right around the same time Dirt hit 1.0, so I guess that was fortuitous. I'm digging both, though. The 1.0 update adds some pretty cool features I can't wait to share with you guys. But if you've not been following the early access of Dirt Rally, you might be wondering, what's this game all about? What's it like? And is it any good? Well, it's made by Codemasters, probably the most prolific racing game developers in the modern era. They're the guys behind all of the modern F1 games, the Grid series, as well as the previous Dirt games, Dirt 1, 2, and 3. Now, Dirt Rally makes a pretty big departure from the previous Dirt games, thankfully so in my opinion. They're kind of doing more, doing what they did previously with Grid Autosport. The early Grid games and all the previous Dirt games, they were the silly, arcadey style, goofy, unrealistic physics, not drivers games, very casual racers. Grid Autosport kind of revamped and rebooted the Grid series with a more sim-style approach to it. To varying degrees of success, the game had some questionable design choice, it had some issues, some bad AI, things like that. And they're kind of doing the whole more sim style here with Dirt Rally. Thankfully, though, Codemasters has made a concerted effort to not repeat the mistakes of the past, and they've learned from them. So all the issues that Autosport had, none of those have been transferred over here, which is great news because, believe it or not, it's been 11 years since we've had a proper sim-style rally game. The last ones were Richard Burns Rally and Colin McRae 04, both of which on the PS2. So it's been a long time coming, but we finally have not just a good or a decent sim-style rally game, but a superb one. This game really shines. The physics modeling is excellent. The stages, as they're called in Rally, the tracks, they are beautifully crafted. They're all real stages that the developers have authentically recreated. The cars are authentic, ranging from 1960s to 2015 models, and all of them have a very different handling and very realistic, authentic feeling to them. They're not just reskinned, remodeled things. They also have superb audio. I would not be surprised if they used the real cars sounds and recorded those to put in the game because they sound that good. Um, the game is an excellent challenge. It is a very challenging game. Uh, yeah, overall, I would say it's probably the most realistic, immersive, and complete rally experience to date. Um, yes, it is a sim style game, but it's not a simulator. They have made some concessions here and there for accessibility and playability, although they struck a good balance, I think, in maintaining a very good challenge to the game. Now, games like this, of course, are best with steering wheel controllers, but like I said, they have made sure that it's accessible. Console controllers, Xbox controllers, they work with the game, but not just work, they are well optimized with the game. So if you don't have a wheel controller, it's not a big deal. You can use an Xbox controller just fine. And there are game preferences to tailor to your own tastes. Of course, they have assist like ABS, traction control, stability control, stuff like that. The coolest feature, though, I think, is if you're like me and you want more realism and more challenge, and you turn these things off, you actually get a bonus to the cash you get at the end of the race. I'm getting a 20% boost from turning things off like exterior camera modes. That gives 5%. I like the cockpit view from behind the wheel anyway, and it is more challenging, so it's nice to be rewarded for that. The game does support all types of wheel controllers, including those with 3 pedals. Clutch and H pattern shifter supported. That was one thing I was really looking for in my new wheel. I got one that has a clutch, and I got the H pattern shifter for it. It adds a nice, a real challenging and different dimension to the gameplay. So it's nice to see that they have that feature included. Of course, you can do automatic, manual with the flappy paddles, or just manual without the clutch, or throw the clutch in, each having varying reward boosts for it. So there's lots of options to tailor to your own tastes. The control options are very much not a one-size-fits-all. You can fully customize everything and rebind everything. It's got dead zone, saturation, linearity for all different types of that you would want here. And even I think the controller for console with the sticks are customizable to tweak those in. So there's a good depth of options to it, which is great to see. And like I said, the game really is very challenging. It's a very satisfying thing when you get a good run through a stage for the first time, especially. It's a very satisfying experience. So let's hop in here and I'll show you what I mean. Now, when 1.0 came out, I reset my career progress. You can do that in the profile, driver details. I did this so I get the release progression, and well, for the video, so we're not starting halfway through. But I have, though, played probably about 15 hours worth of these custom events, which are pretty cool little one-off races that you can customize however you want. You can drive any car in the game, and they're fully upgraded cars on any stage and any time of the day. And they're great little ways to practice and to try out the cars before you buy them in the career mode, because once you buy them in the career mode, you're going to be stuck with them for quite a while, so you got to be sure you get the right one for your tastes. Now, here in the once you start the career, well, if it's your first time, it gives you a voiceover tutorial, but it's not my first time. I'll just explain it. We start with 50 grand. You got to buy a car. The way the career mode works is you start in the 60s and it progresses chronologically through the time and hitting on it lands on the greatest hits basically of rallying through the 70s, the Group B monster cars of the 80s, through the 90s and the modern 2000s, all the way up to the current World Rallycross cars like the Fiesta and the Polo Rallycross. So you can pretend you're Ken Block or Tanner Faust, whatever. But we got to start back in the 60s here. And I would have liked more choices. The 1960s comes to mind with like the Ford Cortina or the Alpine, but I guess they tried to make it simple for the noobs, and really this is kind of a non-choice between the legend that is the Mini Cooper S and the not well known in the States Lancia Fulvia, which if it got mildly moist would turn into a pile of rust. I guess only the Euro players and Brits would really get that reference, but like I said, it's kind of a non-choice. The Lancia's got a much longer wheelbase, it's not as agile. Yeah, it's got a little bit more horsepower, but it weighs a lot more, so it doesn't equal out. And the Mini Cooper is a little bit cheaper anyway, so that's your best bet. Let's see. Let's go British Green. Looks good. Now that we got our car, we need to round out our crew and the team management. This is a pretty cool system. You start with a crew chief and an empty slot that you have to buy an engineer for. Your crew members, they have perks and stuff that are attached to them, help you upgrade cars, and they all have their individual stats attributed to them. We see on the right side of the screen there, their stats when it comes to the different areas of the car. Basically, whenever you're driving on the race and you damage, say, your wheel, at the end of the race, your engineers got to repair that wheel, and how good their stat is in that category determines, how quickly, how cheap it's gonna cost you at the end of the race. So very important to have good stats on them, and they're only with you for a certain amount of time. You see under his name there, this guy would be with us for 32 stages or 32 races. At the end of that, you can either renew his contract or replace him with someone better. So let's look at some of the better guys here. Kobayashi. Whoosh bang Kobayashi Maru. Nice little Star Trek reference there. Oh, he's pretty well rounded. And, well, I can't pass up that name. And he'll be around for 40 stages. Alright. That's got our team rounded out. Starting the championships here. The regular rally starts in Greece. There's also hill climb and rally cross that you could do championships of, but those are a little bit more difficult. I would wait on those. Do the regular rally first. And the 60s Cooper. The Greece location of our championship will be made up of these 4 stages, and I think the order of the stages is chosen at random because last time I did the championship, they're not in this order. So it's kind of strange that it chose the absolute longest stage to be my first one, Abiz Koilada, at 7,000 meters long. Very long stage. The rest of them are quite a bit shorter, 5,700, 4,500, 5,000. Yeah. The screen also tells you the weather forecast. It's going to be sunny and without any chance of rain for these stages. It tells you the altitude difference between the beginning and end point, as well as, most importantly, what the surface is made of, what type of gravel, so you can kind of get an idea of what sort of a grip to expect. And, of course, I'm the only American out of the, 16 entrants. That's to be expected, with rally racing. It looks like about half of them, but split pretty evenly between Mini Cooper and Lancias. Now, you could just jump right into the stage, but I would not recommend that, because it enables you to do some shakedown runs first. I think the stages, if I'm not mistaken, are broken up into either 3 or 4. I think it's 4 sectors, I'll call them. The shakedown lets you run the first sector up to 10 times, and you can kind of get a feel for the first sector, and get a good feel for what the surface is going to be like and what kind of grip to expect during the stage. So that way you can set up your vehicle, and between each shakedown run you can tweak your vehicle setup. So in here, in the setup, you can change all sorts of different things, from the brake bias, the differential, the gear ratio, the front suspension, the rear suspension, and the damping for the front and rear. Now, if you hit, looks like number 4, but for me that's triangle, it will show you where the default settings are. So that way, if you change something, you're like, I didn't like that, I want that back to default, well, you can set it right back. Now, here is one of the coolest new features in 1.0, and I can't believe all racing games don't do this. If you're, say, a little bit timid about changing settings on your cars, not very experienced at it, or what have you, or maybe you just really don't know where to begin. A lot of times I don't really know where to start. One of the coolest things that they've done here is enabled Steam Workshop for these preset tunings. So if you find a settings that you really like, and maybe you're a more advanced user, you can save your preset and then upload it to the Steam Workshop so other people can download it. This is really cool. So if we open up our Steam overlay with was it Shift Tab, and let's go into community here, workshop. Hope this is recording this. You can see in here all of the different cars, and they all have different tuning setups for it. So let's look up the Mini Cooper S. There's 16 of them. And in here we will find listed as the most popular ones. Oh, look at that! Some guy named Sukasa has one of the most popular setups. How about that? We can subscribe to his. If you click subscribe here, then it will show up in game for you. But let's do someone else's, because I already have that one obviously on my list. Let's see, his seems to be pretty popular. Mini Monaco. Let's subscribe to that. All right, and now it will not show up immediately in your list here. You would actually have to exit out of the service area, go back to the main menu, and then reload it, and then it will show up in the setup vehicle. So a little bit of a hassle there, but at least you don't have to exit the game. So I'm just going to load up my own personal one here, the 60s Mini Gravel. And you see I've changed quite a bit of things in here. I set the brake bias more towards the rear, loosened up the differential, shortened the gear ratios, softened the front suspension, stiffened, I softened both the front and rear, and I left the dampings alone. There are advanced settings for the cars here. For example, if you were to go into the advanced settings of the gears, you can set the individual gears, first gear, second gear, and so on. But at first, you don't have the ability to do that until you unlock it. The more you drive the car, the better your engineers get at working on the car. Then things like that start to unlock. And there are perks that the engineers can get to help unlock things faster and upgrade your car faster. There are, of course, upgrades you can do to the car that increase, 10 horsepower or 50 less weight or whatnot. So as your career and your championship progress, your car gets better and better, which is really cool. And I really love the whole loading presets from the Steam Workshop. That is freaking awesome. So let's do a shakedown run here. These settings are definitely not perfect by any means.
3, 2,
First.
1, go. Caution left 4 long, keep mid.
Yeah, anyway, they're not perfect, but it's definitely better than
right 5
default.
half long, don't cut, keep right over crest. Into left 4 long.
Now you notice there's a guy keeps saying
right 2 long, keep mid.
Numbers and missed a gear. Ah, missed again.
Jump right 5 tight, don't cut.
So what's this guy keep yammering on about?
Into left 6 long, 80 over bump.
Well, he's telling me he's my co-driver actually.
Into left 6, into right 5 tight, don't
See him over there.
Left 2 narrows.
Oh shit.
Keep mid.
Uh-oh.
Water temp is higher.
Well, I screwed that up. Right off a cliff. It's always good whenever something like that happens.
660 crest jump.
And you see that recover button.
Left over crest.
Yeah, it is definitely best to do something about that by hitting the recover, because if you break your car completely, you fail. Just like that. Fail. And you lose your shakedown. Now, if that happens during the actual stage race, don't click continue, click restart, otherwise you DNF and you lose that whole location, so you lose all the stages in the Greece rally. Definitely don't want that to happen. Okay, let's do another shakedown, except this time I won't purposefully fly off the cliff. Wink wink. Okay, since I have the setting in the preferences for auto launch turned off, I have to be sure that I hold the handbrake and push the clutch in, and I don't release it early, otherwise I'll get a 10-second penalty. You can have auto release on if you want, but you can kind of get a little bit of a head start if you time it just right, so that's why I have it off.
4, 3, 2, 1, go. Caution left 4 long, keep mid.
Alright, so as I was saying,
right 5 half long,
before I was so rudely interrupted by that cliff, this dude is telling me where the corners are, what to expect in them.
170. Caution jump, right 5 tight, don't cut. Left 6.
So the numbers he's saying, left 6, right 6, that's the severity of the corners.
Don't cut. Caution left 2 narrows and slippy, keep mid.
2 is a very severe corner. It goes from 1 to 6. 1 is a very tight corner. 6 is a pretty gradual one.
60.
Runs
Crest jump, baby. Right 3 long, 60.
Jump there. And 60 means it is a straightaway for that many meters. So
80 past lay-by. Into right 6. Into crest jump, maybe 60.
you definitely want to follow what he's saying.
Right 6 long, into left 6, and right 2 half long, don't cut, to finish.
Oh, I almost cut it. When he says don't cut, he ain't kidding. There's always a huge obstacle there. That wasn't all that good. I need to practice a little bit more. Trying to talk and explain things while I'm trying to drive is definitely making me quite a bit less effective. But that's kind of how the co-driver works. He's super important. You really got to pay attention to what he's saying, especially when it's your first time through a track. He's a lifeline because you're going full speed, and all of a sudden you're gonna have a 90-degree blind corner come at you. So if you're not listening to what he's saying, you're gonna slam into a rock, or you're gonna go flying off a cliff and die. So I'm gonna do a little bit more of these shakedowns, get reacclimated to this stage, and then I'll be back for the actual race of it. But I think we're gonna have to do that in the next episode because I think we're running low on time. I hope you guys did enjoy. Maybe learn something about the game. Maybe got a better idea of what it's all about. It's definitely brutally challenging, but it's so very fun. I'm really digging it. I hope you guys are enjoying watching. Don't forget to thumbs up and subscribe for more. Show me that you care. Until next time, though, I hope y'all have a good one.